British Empire, which once covered a quarter of the globe and ruled nearly a third of the world's population, began its journey long before Britain itself formally existed. Its foundations were laid by the Kingdom of England, which by the early 17th century, under Elizabeth I and then James I, who united the crowns of England and Scotland, began establishing overseas colonies. Early ventures like the Roanoke settlement failed, but joint stock companies such as the East India Company gained monopolies on trade, proving a blueprint for future expansion. The Ulster Plantation in Ireland also served as an early model for organized colonization. Throughout the 17th century, England expanded its presence in North America and the Caribbean, acquiring territories like New York from the Dutch, and developed extensive trading networks in Africa and the East Indies, crucially through the Royal African Company, which became a major player in transatlantic slave trade. Meanwhile, Scotland's independent colonial attempts, such as the disastrous Darien scheme in Panama, failed spectacularly, leading to a financial crisis that ultimately spurred the 1707 Acts of Union, formally uniting England and Scotland as Great Britain. The 18th century saw Great Britain solidify its position through a series of European wars fought globally. Victories in conflicts like the War of the Spanish Succession and the 7 Years' War yielded significant territorial gains from France and Spain, including Newfoundland, Acadia, Gibraltar, and vast swathes of North America, including Quebec and Florida, as well as several Caribbean islands. Concurrently, the British East India Company expanded its dominance in India, notably after the Battle of Plassey in 1757, laying the groundwork for British control over the subcontinent. However, the empire faced its first major loss with the American Revolution. Tensions over taxation without representation led to the colonies declaring independence in 1776, culminating in a protracted war and the recognition of the United States of America. This pivotal event shifted Britain's colonial focus towards Asia, the Pacific, and Africa. Explorers like Captain James Cook charted and claimed New Zealand and Australia, which became a penal colony. Further expansion occurred in North America's western coast and into the Rocky Mountains. The Napoleonic Wars in the early 19th century further cemented Britain's global power, particularly its naval supremacy after the decisive Battle of Trafalgar in 1805. The subsequent peace in 1815 brought more territories into the empire, including Malta, Mauritius, Ceylon, and the Cape Colony. Growing abolitionist movements led to the banning of the slave trade in 1807 and the formal abolition of slavery itself in 1834. The period from 1815 to 1914 is often termed Britain's imperial century. The British East India Company continued expanding in Asia, acquiring Singapore and Hong Kong. After the Sepoy Rebellion in 1857, India came under direct British rule in 1858, becoming the jewel in the crown. During the 19th century, Britain also engaged in the Great Game with Russia for influence in Central Asia, and participated in the scramble for Africa, securing vast territories and strategically important assets like the Suez Canal by occupying Egypt. As the 20th century dawned, predominantly white colonies like Canada, Australia, and New Zealand began to gain self-governance as dominions. The First World War, however, saw the empire rally, with millions of men and vast resources contributing to the Allied victory, leading to further territorial gains from defeated powers. Despite reaching its territorial peak around 1921, the war's immense cost, coupled with growing nationalist sentiments, signaled the empire's decline. Ireland gained independence in 1922. The Second World War left Britain bankrupt and unable to maintain its vast colonial holdings. This ushered in the wind of change, leading to gradual decolonization throughout the 1940s, 50s, 60s, and 70s. While most former colonies joined the Commonwealth, the symbolic end of the empire is often marked by the handover of Hong Kong to China in 1997. The legacy of the British Empire, however, persists in the widespread use of the English language, global cultural influence, and the diverse, multicultural nature of modern Britain itself.